Hey guys, today I want to talk about a different skill. These are called cones. They find their way into choreography quite a lot because they do a good job showing off your silk and they connect a lot of other moves very well. Sometimes we even use them to prep for a toss. So we're going to start this exercise also in second position. Again, it's just a good solid base to stand on. And we're going to start just like we had our hands at right shoulder, but instead we're going to push it down here to the seatbelt angle, which you know from your tryout routine is called slam. When you always make your slam angle, you want to think about, again, if you pull it back, it would fit you like a seatbelt. You wouldn't want your seatbelt down here on your rib cage. You want it to be way up here where it can stop all of you moving, right? So your left hand, if you're roughly my height, your left hand is probably going to actually be a little touch higher than your head. The common checkpoint people say is that it's at ear level. I find that that's a little bit low for me. My right hand definitely is at about my hip. Again, depending on your height, it might be lower, it might be higher. Your flag is just barely off the ground. The main thing is that this angle is nice and steep. We don't want it to sag down here. We want it to be nice and strong. So we're gonna start at slam and we're gonna do a set of cones. In order to do that, I'm gonna bring my flag upward and it's gonna come through a flat. It's gonna come through flat a lot of times. When I'm bringing it up through this flat, I'm gonna start to push my right hand out toward the audience, and I'm going to end up very briefly at something called present, which is just pushing out like if I took right shoulder and shoved it straight out toward the audience. So I'm straightening my right arm just for a brief second. When I arrive there, I'm going to keep moving immediately and bring it over to my left so that my arms make this kind of a Z shape. It's really important that you arrive at this shape with your right arm crossing your face. A really common mistake is for one of your hands not to cross your body. So your right hand crosses your face, your left hand crosses to the other hip. That's super important. Then you're just gonna uncross them to complete your top cone. That's one of the two cones. So that's a top cone. You bring it up through flat, you push it up through top present, you cross, and you uncross. That's your top cone in mega slow motion. So once you've finished your top cone, and you're up here at this top slam, you're gonna come back through flat again. Notice that flat is kind of eye level ballpark. It might be a little lower than that in real life when I do this full speed. And then you're gonna twist through, again pushing your right hand toward the audience, and you're gonna make this bottom present angle, which you really only see in stuff like this. But it's pointing out toward the audience here. You're gonna immediately keep moving and push across. This is most commonly where I see people forget about their left hand and it stops up here. Make sure you push it all the way across so that it passes your face. That gives you the full value of your cone and moves your silk as much as possible. So I'm at this funky Z-shaped thing, and then I'm just gonna finish and uncross. You gotta be aware of the location of your silk when you do this uncross. It's really easy to get a sail, and now that I'm trying to do it, I can't. It's really easy to accidentally snag your silk while you're doing cones and get a sail, so always be aware of where your silk is and adjust your pathway accordingly so that you don't stab it with your top stopper. So really that I just showed you is two cones, a top cone and a bottom cone. So take that pathway slowly as long as you need to understand the shape. You push out, across, and uncross, come through flat, push out, across, and uncross, arriving back at this right slam. When you're happy with that idea, I want you to take it in sets of 2 counts. So you're gonna push 1, takes you all the way out and across. 2 is just that uncross. 3, 4. So you'll notice the checkpoints that you arrive at are the ones where you're either straight across your face or uncrossing. But I don't want you to forget about this present shape that you arrive at when you're coming through your cones, because that's where the value comes from. If you want to think of like an ice cream cone, if you're imagining that you're making a cone of ice cream and your silk is the ice cream, you want a good serious scoop of ice cream in your cone, right? So you want to make the cone shape nice and round above your head, and then we're gonna imagine we got some anti-gravity ice cream and we can make an upside down ice cream cone without worrying that it's gonna fall out for our bottom cone. So even though the checkpoints are these flats, if I only went to the flats, I would have a very different motion than when I make these round shapes and go through the present angles. So think about that. When you do your video, I would like you to do 2 sets of those. That's 8 counts. So you can count it like this: 5, 6, 7, 8. Push 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And you're done.